Good morrow ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between. I'm Duchess and welcome to my channel and video. Sorry again for text-to-speech. I plan on using my actual voice soon. I wasn't planning on making a video like this till later, but at Victoruin8949, sorry if that isn't pronounced correctly, seemed interested in the lore, so this one's for you buddy. Where to start? There's a lot, but the main character, who was predominantly seen in the world's greatest actor animatic, is Eleodoro. Okay, so I should set up the lore of this world. There are gods and they mingled with humans, so to say. These children are also known as the Gemborn for the gems in their bodies. How Steven Universe, I know. I'm pretty sure the concept came to me in a dream, so yeah. The most important part about the Gemborn is that they reincarnate. As soon as they die, a new kid that is identical in appearance with the gem is born. Now they have to be born to parents that could realistically have a child that looks like the person. I imagine most of the time the parents aren't trying to have a demigod, but theoretically one could practice eugenics to have a higher chance of a Gemborn child. Eleodoro is obviously one of these. Where is his gem? Well, it was on his left palm. If you noticed in the animatic, there was that scene with the knife and blood, that was when he gouged it out. Why? Several reasons. Mostly regarding religious trauma. You see, since the Gemborn were the children of gods and a religion, the inner facet popped up around them. The people in charge aren't Gemborn and can be quite controlling. They want the reincarnated to be the same throughout, and force conformity. Often, even ridiculing anyone who is different. This is a problem, as in their base state the current incarnations are the opposite of their immediate predecessors. This doesn't mean that the third would be the same as the first. Because the second would be the opposite of the first as a base and would then gain new and different personality traits to the point that the third wouldn't be the same as the first. Most Gemborn have had dozens of reincarnations. Eleodoro, on the other hand, is the third. Both the previous incarnations are polar opposites. Both were named Heliodoro. Most share the name and Eleodoro is the exception. This is due to the second Heliodoro being a occultist. The first Heliodoro was responsible for revolutionizing the inner facets surrounding the Gemborns, making it far more accepting of differences. Eleodoro was left at a church branch as a baby and was raised by Mother Miriam, who actually was a student of the first Heliodoro and attempted to raise the second Heliodoro, who turned out a bit psychopathic. The first Heliodoro lived to be around in his 80s and the second got publicly executed in his mid-20s. That's around the same age as Eleodoro is now. Miriam views Eleodoro as a chance to redeem herself for her failure in raising the second Heliodoro into a good person. So she gave him a different name to try and hide Eleodoro from the higher-ups and separate him from the previous iterations. Miriam died of natural causes when Eleodoro was around 12 and Sister Bernadette became the new mother, and she does not share the same open-minded ideas of Miriam, and she does not like how different she was raising Eleodoro was becoming. Around this time Eleodoro was becoming disillusioned with the inner facet because he didn't understand why Perihet, the main god and Eleodoro's godly father, didn't keep Miriam alive despite her being one of his most devout followers. One time Bernadette got upset at Eleodoro's insubordination, and Eleodoro, who wasn't really good at controlling his powers yet, accidentally blasted Bernadette in the face. This incident, plus his knowledge of Heliodoro too, made Eleodoro ashamed and detested himself. The rational thing for him to do to avoid this ever happening again and prevent him from being forced into someone he didn't want to be, he proceeded to take a knife and gouged out the gem, running away afterward. He actually still has the knife, one of the few possessions he truly owns. For the next 10 or so years Eleodoro lived on his own and ran an antique shop selling goods he grave-robbed from various mausoleums. If I had to describe Eleodoro's personality, it'd be a mix of Jax and Loki. He uses his cunning to trick people into getting what he wants. He has a hatred for most Gemborns that comes from his own self-hatred. Eleodoro does not like other Gemborns and pretends he isn't and just happens to look exactly like Heliodoro. Speaking of other Gemborns, there are 3 others that are around Eleodoro. They actually didn't have names until the writing of this video. It's a bad habit I have of not naming characters. They didn't even have official designs or lore until my The World's Greatest Actor Animatic. I decided it'd be interesting if they were what the people in charge considered too different. They were different from their previous versions further than personality. The first one is Amadeus, who in his previous incarnations were female. Amadeus has a lot of trans and gender dysphoria that was perpetuated by the rigid structure of their inner facet. Amadeus never felt comfortable as a girl but was never able to do anything to fix this. Amadeus is also the soulmate of Eleodoro/Heliodoro. Amadeus' gem is in his chest near his heart. His role usually relates to love and those associated emotions. Despite this, in most of his previous lives he never had a love. Once the first Heliodoro came along, that changed, and they lived to old age together. Heliodoro knew about Amadeus' dysphoria and tried to help Amadeus by changing the structure of the inner facet, but couldn't make too many changes or there would have been too much of a pushback. The second Heliodoro, and his cult, accepted Amadeus with open arms. This cult took a more violent approach towards inner facet and rigid conformity. Think of their differing ideals as the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Amadeus is currently in the reserve force of the inner facet. Amadeus feels comfortable with being a man but has constantly been told by the inner facet leaders how he wasn't supposed to be like this. Eleodoro's main dynamic with Amadeus is obviously the soulmate thing, but also supporting Amadeus in his gender. Personality-wise, Amadeus is trusting and a little naive. He wears his heart on his sleeve and can be a bit emotional. He is caring, a bit of a people pleaser, and is very empathetic. He can sense people's true emotions and their most repressed ones. Next up is Thales. He was the one with the glasses and gem on his forehead, a law pearl. He was supposed to be one of the most intelligent of the Gembornes, but that's where he differs. As stated, this group of three were considered too different, and Thales' problem is a less extreme case of this. Again, as his theme is intelligence, but it's so much as he is dumb. He acts like he is very knowledgeable and that he reads often, but he is in fact dyslexic. He struggles with reading the large texts that are expected of him. He is the quote-unquote leader of the trio. There honestly isn't much to say about Thales, as there isn't much about him lore-wise. He's the least fleshed out right now, and I think most of his lore will have to do with who his current human parents are. His personality is very proper and is the main foil to Eleodoro. Eleodoro plays fast and loose with the rules while Thanes follows it to the letter. Thanes isn't a big fan of Eleodoro at first but grows to be somewhat friends. Finally is Calothra. She is associated with speech. I thought it'd be an interesting inversion to make her mute. I have the least to say about her, but her gem is placed on her throat to symbolize the association with speech. Her role was an orator, often telling stories to the next generation. Though, due to her muteness, she instead writes them down. She was actually alive during the time of Heliodoro number 2 and is therefore distrusting of Eleodoro because of this. She can see through his lies and can just tell it's him. She was an ex-member of the second Heliodoro's cult, which is known as the Gemnarch Covenant. To elaborate on the Gemnarch Covenant, they do engage in human sacrifice to Perihet and the other gods. Though Heliodoro too claimed that they were all willing volunteers. Calothra was decently high-ranking and joined the Covenant due to their accepting nature to anyone that differed from the path the inner facet set out for them. After the execution of Heliodoro too, she rejoined the inner facet as she felt she could do better there, supporting anyone else looked down upon by the leaders than by causing destruction and anarchy. Changing the system from the inside in a manner of ways. Calothra is one of the older Gembornes, being in her mid-40s. She can communicate with Amadeus and Thanes through sign language and body language. Often a silent witness to important events. She is no nonsense and stubborn. That's all I really have to say about these four, and you can definitely tell who has the most fleshed out lore, haha. I don't think I'll be posting another video like this about my OCS too soon, as I'd rather make videos talking about other characters I like and videos similar to the What If I Made Monster High analysis. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you subscribe. See you soon.